weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
Lo que me diga Macron que resbala. Macron es un pelele de la política de Trump contra Venezuela. Macron es un sicario de los intereses de la oligarquía financiera.
Like all dictatorship,
ha llegado la hora de la recuperación económica y necesaria.
and what happened, assassinate Maduro.
Before the take, I'm totally confused. The main president of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump, who first of all claims that he should be selected for the Nobel Peace Prize because he always tried to minimize the conflicts among the nations, different nations in the world, and arise the peacemaking dialogues between those nations. But after a few months, he just takes on Venezuelan sovereignty and arrests the president of Venezuela with his wife, Cillian Flores.
Oil, Venezuelan oil. We would have taken it up.
So we have the greatest oil companies in the world.
They took all of our oil.
Tener una relevancia en el escenario político internacional a través del petróleo.
And before this attack, the files of the Jeffrey Epsteins are published by the Department of Justice. In those files, in hard drive materials with dumps of junk files and images where the Donald J. Trump is standing and having emails with Jeffrey Epstein are published by the Department of Justice. But after a few hours, the Department of Justice claims that those files which are shared in a dump of hard drive materials, there are few fake informations, misinformations too in those hard drive materials. So it's arises a very confusing questions between the analysts in the human brain data. How a man who claims the Nobel Peace Prize change his mind on 360 angle or 180 angle to attack on another country's sovereignty and arrest the president without any approval or applying the international law.
Actually got the Nobel Prize called me, and
now the international analysts also claims that the US violated the international law and violated the sovereignty of Venezuela. Now the international analysts also claims that the infringement is done against the law and it violated the international law as well as the sovereignty of Venezuela because it was the elected president of the Venezuela. It was not a dictator. But the US officials are claiming that the Maduro was arrested on the basis of drug trafficking and criminal conspiracies.
virtually everywhere socialism or communism produce suffering, corruption, and decay.
Donald Trump, hands up Venezuela. De inmediati.
But the Venezuelan officials are claiming that the US attacked on 2 a.m. with special forces named as Delta Forces with 200 personnel. First of all, they attacked on our electrical infrastructure. They destroyed our electrical infrastructure. After that, few explosions were arising in the city of Venezuela, where after a few hours, the Venezuelan president was arrested and proceeded towards the U.S. courts.
Last night and early today, at my direction, conducted an extraordinary military operation to bring outlaw dictator Nicolás Maduro to justice.
Now, the worldwide international countries also condemns this attack that it was illegal because it also infringed the rights of the countries, of the rights of the people in the country, which is not reliable or reasonable according to the international.
America had put a price on his head, hell-bent on ousting this hero of the socialist revolution.
Venezuela's longtime president is out of power. In a midnight operation called Absolute Resolve, the U.S. arrested Nicolás Maduro from the heart of Caracas.
So here, a lot of more questions arises that the local media and the Venezuelan officials are claiming that 25 to 55 Venezuelan and Cuban soldiers were killed, as well as the few of the Delta forces of the U.S. military operation, few forces were injured. No one is killed, and no one claims that any soldier of the U.S. military operation was killed.
Venezuela fue el mayor exportador de petróleo del mundo.
Une dictature tente de se survivre au prix d'une détresse humanitaire sans précédent, de radicalisation idéologique inquiétante.
So here a lot of questions arises, even though Donald John Trump also claims that Donald J. Trump will run the country until the new election held in Venezuela and the new president is elected. But as well as the Trump also claims that he will not stop here, he will attack on Colombia or Cuba and more other countries in their neighborhood to bring them to the reasonable ways of dealing with the United States. There in the open tweets, in the open publication of from the Trump profile, which he claims that he will not let anyone who will stand against the interest of the US. But a lot of the analysts are saying that it is against of the international law as well as it is against of the sovereignty of Venezuela.
La justicia venezolana te pondrá los gachos, ladrón de cuatro suelas.
So it's up to you how you will take it, but here the question of Jeffrey Epstein file, which I have already created a documentary, edited a documentary about it on my previous videos, and after the publication of the Jeffrey Epstein file, the Venezuelan attack happens. But before these two events happening, Trump claimed a few months before that he should be nominated for the name of Nobel Peace Prize, because he always acted as a reasonable peacemaking person in the conflicts among the nations to arise the peak peacemaking dialogues. So here are a lot of questions and a lot of people are confused about it, what is happening and what will happen.
Despite the support of his allies, Maduro was isolated. His grip on power was shakier than ever before.
La victoria siempre. Patria querida, venceremos.
In 2019, the Maduro first election was declared by the US as null and void because they claimed that he came as a force. He didn't came with pure democracy, with pure elections. In 2020, they claimed, the US official claimed that Maduro is included in the drugs trafficking, as well as the US has launched the operation, which is named by Gideon, where the operation was failed and Maduro was not arrested. After that, in 2024, again in the election, the Maduro elected as a president, but the US officials claim that he is again included in criminal conspiracies as well as in drug trafficking. After all that period, in 2025, US imposed the sanctions on the Venezuela country, and as well as after imposing the sanctions, the US officials introduced a reward of $20 million for leading a person to help the US officials in the arresting of the Venezuelan President Maduro.
We are witnessing a human tragedy.
Nicolás Maduro has stood firm, cementing his reputation as indestructible. Around him, the world has changed.
But a lot of international analysts focuses on the oil reservation of Venezuela, because Venezuela is very rich with oil, and Venezuela want contract with the worldwide countries for oil dealings, but the US do not want it, and there's a lot of kind of conspiracy theories, conspiracy analysts words that they says that the US will never.
Ese día, con irreverencia, con revire democrático.
Weapons of mass destruction.
Saddam Hussein and his sons must leave Iraq within 48 hours.
Venezuelan is one of the largest oil reserves, and oil is the backbone of the economy of the Venezuela. And a lot of more questions arises from here that why, though many US companies, United States companies, invested their money in oil reserves in Venezuela, even though in 2017 to 2019, US officials claimed that Maduro is doing corruption in oil companies and showing mismanagement, unreasonable for the economy of the US, which is US will never allow the Venezuelan president to do so more. After that, US applied many sanctions on Venezuela oil reservoir companies. After that, the Venezuela oil reservoir companies were prohibited, were not allowed in the US marketing of oil. So it's quite confusing that a lot of questions arises here. It's up to you how you will take it, but these are the real and truth analyzed and researches based answerings and questions which I hope you will like it.